Thưa quý vị, Việt Nam thì đang ngày càng khẳng định vị thế là một trong những trung tâm sản xuất công nghệ hàng đầu của khu vực. Nhưng mà để tiến xa hơn ở chuỗi giá trị toàn cầu thì các doanh nghiệp Việt Nam cần phải ứng dụng nhiều hơn nữa tự động hóa, robot cũng như là sản xuất thông minh. Và đó cũng là cái chủ đề mà ngày hôm nay Mai Phương sẽ cùng trò chuyện với ông Craig McDonell, là giám đốc điều hành khối ngành công nghiệp của ABB Robotics, một trong những tập đoàn hàng đầu thế giới về tự động hóa và robot. So, thank you, Mr. Craig McDonell, to take time to talk to me today.
Absolutely.
Vietnam is becoming increasingly important in manufacturing in the region Southeast Asia.
Yes.
And I'm so delighted to have the opportunity to discuss about the role of AI, of automation and robotics in manufacturing and shaping the industry, the future. And we would like to know your perspective on Vietnam's readiness for the next generation of automation and manufacturing in the region of Southeast Asia.
Certainly. For ABB, Vietnam is a fast expanding market. And I think if I just start at a high level, Vietnam is very, very well positioned for this coming wave of change driven by artificial intelligence and robotics and the combinations of that. If you look at over the last number of years, there's been some good investments, I think, both from building up more of a domestic supply chain and a domestic ecosystem, as well, that has followed many large multinational corporations that have moved into the region. I think there's still continued investment on the education side, but the foundations are there, I think, to really react quickly.
And what pressure that electronics manufacturers facing today that are accelerating the adoption of AI and automation?
You get a confluence of a few things going on at the same time. One, the electronics market is expanding quite significantly. Obviously, as we've moved from consumer electronics also into the AI service space, you've seen a big variation increase. So no longer is it sort of just a consumer electronics story, it's actually a compute story that is becoming as big. There's also a decoupling of global supply chains going on, and that creates the challenges, of course, of trying to establish the local supply chains and ecosystems, but that's going on. But also, the amount of variation and the speed at which these changes need to happen is increasing. So 5 years ago, you could probably get by with every 3 to 5 years doing a change in your electronic platform, especially in consumer electronics. These days, it's every year to every year and a half. So manufacturers are having to retool much more quickly and much more often, and do this with many, many more variations of product.
I heard about the RobotStudio HyperReality.
Yes.
And how does RobotStudio HyperReality help close the gap between simulation and real-world operations? And how could that change the way electronics factory operate?
Absolutely. So at the heart of making AI-capable robotic systems, you need to be able to generate a simulation of that environment within which you can train the robots. Now, traditionally, simulation has suffered a lot from having accurate enough synthetic data in order to be able to make that usable synthetic data for the purposes of AI robot training. With our RobotStudio HyperReality, we've closed that sim-to-real gap significantly. So now we're able to generate in the electronics environment systems that are 99% correlated between the synthetic data to the real-world robotic situation. Now, that's the technology behind it. But what this means in practice is it means that you can have supply chains now deeply integrated with the original equipment manufacturer. You don't need to wait for the phone to arrive or whatever part that you're making. You can actually start developing your supply chain and your production environment in parallel, purely on synthetic data. And you can fully train that system so that you've taken care of all those manufacturing edge cases, so that by the time you hit production from day one, it's an optimized production line, not something that then still needs 5 to 6 months of optimization. So if you're sitting in Vietnam as the recipient at the end of a supply chain, you can now much more proactively work with the original equipment manufacturer earlier as you train these systems, but also you can improve the productivity of the systems when they finally start manufacturing in Vietnam. So some quite significant changes that the AI is driving on how Vietnam and Vietnam's supply chain can interact.
So what is the biggest barrier that preventing Vietnam business from adopting AI robotics more quickly?
I think Vietnam has been faced by a lot of changes very quickly. If you're a supply chain participant here, you are probably just going through a surge of automation investment. And then on top of that, you've got to add the AI automation investment as well. So it's just one big topic is the rate of change and just managing that complexity. I do think there are some digital skills that are really at the core of what is needed here. So being able to have that deep robot understanding and also the understanding of how you can use synthetic data and AI systems to enhance that is needed. And that is growing, but it takes time. You have to get that infrastructure in place.
So is AI robotics currently more suitable for large corporations or just small and medium-sized suppliers in Vietnam also benefit from it?
It's both. It's not large or small. I think we're seeing this across the board. But the benefits are sometimes applied differently. So large corporations, of course, have large industrialization teams that can help guide supply chains through this more quickly. But as a result of these large corporations coming into Vietnam, we are having to establish a robot ecosystem locally as we try and get the Vietnamese content up. That ecosystem are now equipped to then take some of these AI tools like RobotStudio HyperReality and others and apply that across the spectrum. Because some of the benefits that you get from an adaptable AI system, robot system, means that you can handle that very high mix, low volume content that typically you don't see with the large manufacturers. These are small to medium-sized enterprises. And there, that productivity improvement can be even larger. So we're seeing benefits across the board here.
So from your observation, do you believe that Vietnam can move beyond its role as an assembly hub into a smart electronic manufacturing center of the Southeast Asia?
I think Vietnam is already doing that. We've seen content localization probably be the biggest theme over the last 2 to 3 years. So before the localized supply chain might have made up 20 to 30% of what was manufactured in Vietnam. We're seeing that going up to 70, 80% in some instances. So that's been what's happened in the last 3 years. But I think the beauty about Vietnam's current position is you have such a good critical mass now developed with this ecosystem that you can actually generate a lot of the manufacturing information and data needed to be at the forefront of the physical AI revolution. You need to be in manufacturing if you're going to be able to effectively apply physical AI. Vietnam is in that position. I think now it's a case of merging the digital training that we've started over a number of years with many of the universities in the region and starting to merge that together so that you can actually bring the manufacturing understanding and the application of the physical AI to then get you onto the next stage. So it's a good position to be in, but it's going to require some bold moves, there's no doubt.
Thank you, Mr. McDonell, so much for sharing with us so much interesting information today. And I look forward to talking to you again in the near future.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.